Alexander the Great going to India and met yogi in Nepal, in the mountains of Nepal. The yogi was sitting on the edge of the mountain, looking at the sunrise, embracing the beauty of the world. Alexander stopped, and his army, soldiers, stopped and said, well, who are you and what are you doing here? And yogi says, I'm yogi, and I'm embracing this world. What a foolish thing to do, thought Alexander. And then yogi asked Alexander, what are you doing? Who are you? Well, he was surprised, definitely. Well, then he said, well, I'm Alexander the Great. This is my army, and we are conquering the world. What is unfair thing to do? So, just think a little bit. How often are you in the situation when you're talking with a person who are totally from another planet? Yeah. So it looks like there is nothing that is connecting you. Yeah. There is nothing to talk about. No connections you see. Is it often? For me, it's quite often. Yes. So now I would love to show you a short video. This is a TED Talk about the person who was passionate about swamp, wetlands. Are you often thinking about swamp or wetlands?
No.
So it is rather difficult for people to talk with the people who are not thinking about that at all.
So are you thinking about?
About swamps. Yeah, wetland. So, and I would love you just to see what he's doing. Yeah. So I divide it into two parts, because the video is about 18 minutes, I will show you 8 of it. And I would love you just to focus on what he's doing. Finally, you will see the whole audience is with him. And moreover of that, I can tell you more, that it was the national program in America, yeah, to help swamps after this storm. So he really moved people from that situation that I'm not on this page, I'm not even signaling, yeah, to totally to take it as it is my passion. I'm really interested in it. I want to do something. Okay, so I would love you to focus on what he particularly do. Yeah, turn the light. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
So I've had the great privilege of traveling to some incredible places, photographing these distant landscapes and remote cultures all over the world. I love my job. But people think it's this string of epiphanies and sunrises and rainbows, when in reality it looks more something like this. Right? This is my office. And we can't afford the fanciest places to stay at night, so we tend to sleep a lot outdoors. As long as we can stay dry, that's a bonus. We also can't afford the fanciest restaurants, so we tend to eat whatever is on the local menu. And if you're in the Ecuadorian Paramo, you're going to eat a large rodent called a cuy. But what makes our experiences perhaps a little bit different and a little more unique than that of the average person is that we have this gnawing thing in the back of our mind that even in our darkest moments, in those times of despair, we think, hey, there might be an image to be made here. There might be a story to be told. And why is storytelling important? Well, it helps us to connect with our cultural and our natural heritage. And in the Southeast, there's an alarming disconnect between the public and the natural areas that allow us to be here in the first place. You see, we're visual creatures, so we use what we see to teach us what we know. Now, the majority of us aren't going to willingly go wade out into a swamp, right? So how can we still expect those same people to then advocate on behalf of their protection? We can't. So my job then is to use photography as a communication tool to help bridge the gap between the science and the aesthetics, to get people talking, to get them thinking, and to hopefully, ultimately, get them caring. Now, I started doing this 15 years ago, right here in Gainesville, right here in my backyard. And I fell in love with adventure and discovery, going to explore all these different places that were just minutes from my front doorstep. There's a lot of beautiful places to find. Despite all these years that have passed, I still see the world through the eyes of a child, and I try to incorporate that sense of wonderment and that sense of curiosity into my photography as often as I can. And we're pretty lucky because here in the South we're still blessed with a relatively blank canvas that we can fill with the most fanciful adventures and incredible experiences. It's just a matter of how far our imagination will take us. See, a lot of people look at this and they say, oh yeah, wow, okay, that's a pretty tree. But I don't just see a tree. I look at this and I see opportunity. I see an entire weekend. Because when I was a kid, these are the types of images that got me off the sofa and dared me to explore, dared me to go find the woods and put my head underwater and see what we have. And folks, I've been photographing all over the world, and I promise you, what we have here in the South, what we have here in the Sunshine State rivals anything else that I've seen. But yet our tourism industry is busy promoting all the wrong things. Before most kids are 12, they'll have been to Disney World more times than they've been in a canoe or camping under a starry sky. And I have nothing against Disney or Mickey, I used to go there too. But they're missing out on those fundamental connections that create a real sense of pride and ownership for the place that they call home. And this is compounded by the issue that the landscapes that define our natural heritage and fuel our aquifer for our drinking water have been deemed as scary and dangerous and spooky. See, when our ancestors first came here, they were warned, stay out of these areas. They're haunted. They're full of evil spirits and ghosts. I don't know where they came up with that idea. But it's actually led to a very real disconnect, a very real negative mentality that has kept the public disinterest.
Okay, so here I will put a small pause, then we'll continue. What did you see? What did you see? What tools he uses? Are you with him now? Are you with the swan? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Are you on his page? Okay, so what did you notice?
Visual?
Visual, yeah, it's fantastic visualization. Yeah. It's not about the swan, not everything about the swan, yeah. But yeah, it's fantastic reality that he shows. Yeah.
He connected with his personal story as well,
Absolutely.
but linked it back to childhood that anyone, maybe in his audience, could also relate to.
Yeah, speaks about himself, yeah, what it means for himself, yeah.
But he also took, you know, I mean, when you said swamp, I thought of swamp, what I see in Denmark. I mean, I had something boring, grey, you know, and I said, wow, is that a swamp, you know?
Yeah, show it,
Yeah.
yeah. Visualization, yeah, it means a lot, yeah. What else? What else?
I think he showed a lot of life, so a bit of anthropomorphization, but it was interesting, the two manatees, even the bird with the snake coming out of its claws. I mean, there's just a lot of really interesting life pictures there.
True.
And he used humor as well.
Yeah, yeah. Use humor, that's true. What else? What about values? Did he speak about values?
There was some comparison between, when he mentioned Disneyland, which was, you know, a little bit what we're talking about between digital and, it's not the same obviously, but digital and books. It's like, this is creative, this lets your mind soar and lets you discover, rather than being fed something which is manufactured effectively.
Yes. And that is very powerful too, when he switched to the kids. Yeah, he said, yeah, what we are giving to our kids, it is easier for us to buy the tickets to the Disneyland, isn't it? It is easier for us, but not for them. Are we giving them a lot? Are we giving them enough? Yeah. And that immediately comes to the heart again. Yeah, yeah. Probably I'm not aware of swamp, but did I tell to my kids what is it about? Yeah. So immediately switch. Okay. Let us continue and see how he continues.
What is wilderness worth? What is the value of biodiversity or our drinking water? And And fortunately, after decades of debate, we're finally starting to act on those questions. We're slowly undertaking these projects to bring more fresh water back to the bay. But it's up to us as citizens, as residents, as stewards, to hold our elected officials to their promises. And what can you do to help? It's so easy. Just get outside. Get out there. Take your friends out. Take your kids out. Take your family out. Hire a fishing guide. Show the state that protecting wilderness not only makes ecological sense, but economic sense as well. It's a lot of fun. Just do it. Put your feet in the water. The swamp will change you, I promise. You know, over the years, we've been so generous with these other landscapes around the country, cloaking them with this American pride. Places that we now consider define us. Grand Canyon, Yosemite, Yellowstone. And we use these parks and these natural areas as these beacons and as cultural compasses. And sadly, the Everglades is very commonly left out of that conversation. But I believe it's every bit as iconic and emblematic of who we are as a country as any of these other wildernesses. It's just a different kind of wild. But I'm encouraged, because maybe we're finally starting to come around. Because what was once deemed a swampy wasteland, today is a World Heritage Site. It's a wetland of international importance. And we've come a long way in the last 60 years, and as the world's largest and most ambitious wetland restoration project, the international spotlight is on us in the Sunshine State. Because if we can heal this system, it's going to become an icon for wetland restoration all over the world. But it's up to us to decide which legacy we want to attach our flag to. Now they say that the Everglades is our greatest test. If we pass it, we get to keep the planet. I love that quote, because it's a challenge, it's a prod. Can we do it? Will we do it? We have to. We must. But the Everglades is not just a test. It's also a gift. And ultimately, our responsibility. Thank you. What is wilderness?
Okay, so, you notice now what he does.
I like the call to action. So what can you do? Go out and go camping.
Yeah, that's the tools, yeah. Just get out of here. Yeah, go into the economical sense.
The emotional side, touching the emotional side of
Yeah.
the brain.
Okay, so he started from himself, yeah, he's telling his own story, how he comes to this, yeah, that he used a short manipulation with the kids, yeah. Then he said, and yeah, so based to basic values, yeah, we all think about the future generation if we are giving them enough, yeah, because we are not giving them enough. And then he's switching to we, what we can do, and then he goes, did you remember the flag of America?
The chimneys.
The chimneys.
Yeah.
It's again. So we would love our flag to stay. And for the Americans, definitely the flag means very much. Yeah, for them it is. Yeah, we really don't want our country to be associated with the chimneys. Yeah. So then he widened it to the countryside. Yeah. And finally, is the challenge for our planet. So, yeah, this is just a short speech, but he widened and he always goes through values, yeah, putting some particular things, and great visualization, definitely, great visualization. So, and immediately the people who are not even on his page, who are not thinking about wetlands at all, for example, me, I never, the thing that they're doing there in Florida, they are changing those wetlands into the golf course. From my point of view, it's a great idea. Before that, yeah, it was a great idea. Yeah, using the land in a proper way. But he finally changed all of that.
I think also that, can I just say that in the first half he used Disneyland as a sort of a quote-unquote negative comparison. In the second half he used the chimneys as a quote-unquote negative comparison. And then he used the World Heritage Site status to somehow lift the conversation. But what was interesting is that he didn't once use any statistics. He could have said, you know, this and this percent has gone down since these have died, that whatever compared. He didn't use one single thing, which is quite.
That's the way that you mentioned it also, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the other people will say, come on guys, yeah, we did golf courses, yeah, we dried some part of land, but that brings that amount of money that we spend, yeah, to protect animals, to do something good for the healthcare or whatever, yeah. So it might be another kind of conversation. Yeah, he does not use our left part of things. Yeah. It goes only through imagination, only through the right side. It goes directly to the heart. We do not ask questions. We do not argue with him. Yeah, we immediately with him. We want to help. We really think of, well, what a good idea. Why not to go with the kids outside? Yeah, and he also he's comparing the artificial world and the real world always. Not bad or good, but yeah. What we have in thinking.
I think it was also quite clever in that he was going from one emotion to another, and hardly even full, giving it a full sentence. Meaning, there were so many emotions. If you look at the notion of pride, the aspiration, the challenge, all these feelings, strong emotions, constantly. Every moment he's speaking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You always feel himself. Yeah. On all that he says. Yeah. It's his emotions.
Yeah, but I thought the basic human emotions are all in a cocktail there in his speech, and they're also contrasting ones. That means not just one, it's just dominant overall, but just very quickly moving from one to another.
What we did not see also is all the dangers, because I went several times in the National Park of Uruguay with my kids, and I can tell you that you have to be prepared. You have crocodiles, you have snakes, spiders. So I mean, it's not Disneyland. Everything is you can do everything, and everything is fit to protect you. And in the elevators, you have to be prepared to face with all those dangers.
Yeah. He also he did not say this part. He speaks about beauty because he has his goal. He has his idea, and he wants this idea to be beautiful. Yeah, for us to catch this idea. Okay, and she succeeded.
He did also have a snake.
Yes, he's not kidding. And the crocodiles are also there. Yes. But it was beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. It shows the beauty of all this stuff.
Just nice skin.
Yeah, nice skin. Yeah. So we do not see it as a danger, obviously. Okay. So my personal observations now. Last summer we went to Santorini. Have you ever been to Santorini?
Yes.
Okay, so those who've been to Santorini knows that the people in the Santorini think that it is the Atlantis itself. Yeah. So what do you know about Santorini? Santorini, the area of land is 76 square kilometers. The population is 11,000 citizens. And look at that number. They have 2.5 million tourists. Yeah. But actually, Santorini is a small island, one of the 2,000